How are you?
Still alive?
That's a good thing.
Okay. Did you
So
receive my the answer of your questions by email?
I did.
Oh, okay. Good.
So that was like my interview.
Yes.
Um,
So it's done.
so there's that, but that's great. Let's just kind of talk. Tell me about like what, as an engineer, you just kind of fell into this.
Yeah.
Can you can you tell me about like kind of how that happened?
Oh, okay. Actually, my father he's in environmental. He's environmentalist. He helped a lot of the villagers. So it's more like social kind of guy. So actually, I'm not really an engineer, very engineer. So part of my mind is have a lot of influence from my father. So that's why I'm a little bit strange for engineer actually.
You are?
Yeah. Uh, the way we react when I talk to my friends, like the other engineer, they are very much engineer. If we have problem, we solve by coding, we solve by antenna, we solve by those things. While my approach is more like human kind of approach. I educate
Right.
people, those kind of things. So that's the big difference, basically.
That's a very helpful approach for people who need to learn and to keep things going, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Most of the other engineers more like they introduce their what's that? Their products. This is my solution. This is my product. You can buy it. While my approach is
Right.
more like this is the knowledge. You can build things using this kind of knowledge. So different approach, basically.
Are you able to like do you go back into areas where you've used the knowledge-based approach and see how they're doing, and have you gotten feedback on that kind of approach as opposed to just, hey, here's this antenna?
Oh, okay. Maybe. Oh, host disable. I like.
I can
Can
hold
you?
on. I can give you permission.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
I so it doesn't think I'm the host either because
Or should I log out first, or?
no, actually, you hang out. Let me log out and log back in. You'll see me under my full name.
Oh, okay, okay,
I work for two people, and the one Zoom thinks I'm working for the other Zoom right now. So hold on one second.
okay, okay. Le-
Let
Let me
me
try.
give you permission. Okay, you should be able to share your screen now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Oops.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. I like to show you my how I interact with the people. It can be on YouTube. It can be on Twitter. It's very active interaction, basically. I go to my channel. So
Hmm.
okay, this is my channel. Oops. Oops.
Wait.
uh, wrong. Wrong. Because this is my son laptop. This is not mine.
Oh.
He used it for what's that? For this distance learning for his class. So
Yeah.
because the background is much better than my what is my password? I forgot. I hope this one correct. Okay. This is my channel. So it's Okay, this is my Twitter. Of the talk will be in oops. Okay. Manage videos. Okay. So you can see it's active. Like this, I answering asking something and I answer. Someone asking something, I answer. This is very intense. That way I can monitor what they are doing and are if they are if those guy success or they are having problem. They talk on Twitter and my YouTube. I have about let me see how many follower in my Twitter. I think around 390,000 something on Twitter. How can I see it here? No, I have to check.
Your profile.
Yeah, where is my profile? Because I okay, I'm not normally check using this one. I use Hootsuite normally. Then I have to log in again. This is not my computer. Okay.
It's okay.
Oh, this is my profile. Okay. So 390,000 followers on my Twitter, and the interaction is very heavy. So that's how I monitor their progress. And in this one, we can see the this is my my channel. Okay, let me see. Let me make it. Oops, too small, I guess. Interact through this comment. A lot of comments for each video. A lot of comments. Then that's how we interact, and that's how I monitor what's going on. So it's very much internet based. And also I run e-learning. We have how many students in that? 39,000 students in my e-learning server. Let me show you the e-learning. This is my e-learning server. We have 39,000 students here. So that's how I interact, and then that's how like this is
Difference between what's the difference between the social media learning and the e-learning?
e-learning is basically like Google Classroom. It's very much like Google Classroom. It's more structured. Let me show you. So in this one, it's more chaotic. There is no structure. There is no sequence in the video. So people are having difficulty to follow the video. Many people are actually asking me which video I should follow first. I said, well, okay, I'm not uploading the video in sequence, so they have to learn through this e-learning system. This is I put the sequence here. For example, this is about network. Okay. This is in Indonesian language. Computer is computer, jaringan is network. So this is the sequence. So and in each sequence, I normally put the video. For example, this is the YouTube video, and so the video I put it here. The video again, video again. So they can follow the sequence by this class, and then they can follow the video on YouTube as well. And I put the link of the video on YouTube on this one. Okay, let me show you the number of students here. This is the number of students. Let me see. The number of students is this one. 39,000 students.
And they just kind of take the course at their own pace?
Yes.
Or do you have like that?
No,
Okay.
on their own pace. Some of them actually junior high schools. Some
Wow.
junior high school, some high school. This is free. No, what's that? No tuition fee, no nothing is free. So I give this is for free, and they can copy my course as well to schools. So some of the school actually adopting the class, and then there are several international students as well. They use Google Translate to read the materials. So it's free basically. So
What do you teach them?
this is the computer network. Okay, this is the computer network class. I teach several. Let me show you what I teach. Okay, this is computer network class. This is basically the basic. What's that? The basic knowledge they need to build the network. And then this is Internet of Things (IoT). I have also cloud computing, operating system. What else? This is for junior, like app inventor made by MIT. So it's very good for small children's. So I also put some because people are always asking me how can we teach the young students, like primary school student, to do programming. So I collecting this from the MIT stuff, the App Inventor, so they can learn how to program using App Inventor. This is very easy. App Inventor is very easy for small children, really. But most of the stuff for the internet stuff is this one. Computer network, cybersecurity. Raspberry Pi is also for computer network. This is IP version 6, also for the internet. So it's basic. My basic or my foundation is basically empowerment. And during the empowerment, I talk to them and I interact with them, and we innovate some of the technology. For example, the walk bolik. We use the Indonesian word wajan bolik. Wajan bolik is the Indonesian word for wajan is walk, bolik is from parabolic. If we see the image, you can tell all of this image is coming from Indonesia actually. These all Indonesian words here. So those if we use walk bolik, then maybe it's more international. Let me see if I can use walk bolik. Oh, still Indonesian. Still Indonesian. Oh, this is more international. This is I guess this is Spanish. Okay. So this is some of our innovations, and we educate to what is it? Malaysia, Myanmar, Bhutan about this one.
What kind of permissions do you need to do this through like the varying governments and things? Do you need permission
to teach them to teach
to
this?
teach them? Yeah,
Uh,
to share this information. Is it something that you have to pass through bureaucracy, or can you just do it?
uh, just do it right now.
That's great.
For education, we just teach them. For okay, from my experience, actually in other countries, it's more relaxed. The regulation is more relaxed. They are more willing to adopt this kind of technology. So when I go to Thailand, I teach mostly from Thailand actually, from Professor Kanchana lab. So I teach the people from Cambodia, from Vietnam in Professor Kanchana lab, and we just teach them how to do these things. And it seems from my discussion, their government is more what's that? More willing and more welcome for this kind of technology, unlike the Indonesian government.
Right.
So the other country is more welcome. We don't have. It seems we don't have to fight. But the Indonesian finally they are willing to change the regulation after the international acknowledgement of this kind of things through WISIS, World Summit of Information Society. So the ITU, they have World Summit on Information Society, and they invite me 2 times for this summit. So I give some speech in the summit, because this is summit, mostly president and minister coming to the summit. So I give some speech in the summit, and that's really impressed the Indonesian government, and because of that they changed the regulations. So the change of regulation is not that brutal, so we don't really fight very hard, because of the international acknowledgement. Actually, the international acknowledgement through WISIS, World Summit on Information Society, that's actually creating a lot of pressure to the Indonesian government. That kind of pressure actually make them change the regulations. So the regulations are changed because of the international pressure, actually. Not yes, the Indonesian people actually creating some pressure, but the biggest pressure actually from the international, because of the acknowledgement.
How are you funded?
On this one, actually, mostly the people actually fund them. So for the international, what's that? For the international workshop, international. So my travel to for the to international, mostly funded by IDRC. Let me check IDRC. So mostly for the international workshop from the IDRC in Canada, in Ottawa. So they are the one who actually who fund me to go to South Africa, to Berlin, to international. Mostly IDRC, but some of the to AIT, to Kanchana Lab, mostly by Professor Kanchana. So Kanchana actually fund some of my struggle for the international workshop through her lab. For local, for Indonesia, the Indonesian people, they spend like what, $1 to $3 to invite me to give a talk. So for example, we in a campus, they gather like 200 300 students, so they share like $1 to $3 per student, and they invite me to cover my traveling costs, and that's it. So it's very cheap, actually. So it's basically self-funding for Indonesia. For international, I receive a lot of funding from IDRC, from Kanchana, and so on.
Can you give me just one moment? I have another question for you, but I have to print out a paper for my kid.
Oh, okay, no problem. All right,
hold on. Through their cell phone, and then they disconnect the cell phone from the internet. But they still have all the information.
But the local server we make using this kind of device, Raspberry Pi. So this is the device we use. Okay, let me show you. Yeah. Oops. So slow. Okay. So this is the thing. So the server is made using this device. This is how big the device is, the local server. It's you can grab it on your palm, basically, and it costs about like what, $50 or something. So we use this. So I introduced this. So some of the Indonesian school now using this kind of thing. So the internet, the knowledge, the information, we put it into this one. It's an SD card. This one, this small SD card. So micro SD card. So we put in this small micro SD card. That's it. This is offline internet.
And that way they don't have to pay for the bandwidth.
Yes, and no pornography, no nothing. So it's very safe for schools.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of this kind of innovation actually.
Why does the internet cost so much? Hold on one sec.
It's not cost so much. It's just there is none. Maybe I have to show you the. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. One. Okay. The condition is like this. Google. Okay. You can check the condition of the Indonesian internet using these apps, Open Signals. Actually, it's all over the world. Here, the app Open Signals. Okay. Then using Open Signal, we can check the signal condition around the world. Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay. There. I think this one is in New York. New York is green, so the internet is very good. Okay, and then you can check the speed. Speed is very fast. AT&T 40 megabit per second, Sprint 35 megabit, and so on. So you guys in US is okay. Okay, let me show you how it is in Indonesia using the same apps. Dot 160.170 8080. So I share the screen of my phone. Hopefully I can browse the screen of my phone from here. Come on. Oh, should be. Why? Whoops. Nope. I cannot access. How come? I cannot access. I have to. No, I cannot access. Okay, I think I have to show you my paper then. It's more serious then. I'm afraid to do those things. I don't know why it's blank. Let me see if I can share. Oops. Oh, this is my son's. I have to grab it from the server then. Okay, not this one. So this paper is okay. This is my paper for ANU, Australian National Institute, 2016. Let me see if I can have the slide. I think this one, Internet Indonesia. I hope I can show you some slide. Let me see. Okay, this is the one. Okay, this is the signal condition in Indonesia. So basically, in this island is green, but most of other islands is no signals. Very rare signals. Like this one, no signals. This one, no signals. This is in Papua, no signals. So we are having problem with the. So it's not only the cost. Actually, there is no infrastructure. So this is the problem with us. Actually, it's not only us. Actually, if you see the other country also, we have same problem actually.
Yeah. So how do you get that infrastructure going? I mean, I know people build up community networks,
Yes.
and they do all of the hardware
Yes.
aspect of it, but that's not you, is it?
Yes, yes. So we have.
It is you.
What's it?
Go ahead.
Yes, so basically there is no infrastructure, so we need to build the infrastructure. The problem is actually knowledge. The how to build this thing is very simple. This is, for example, I go to Ubiquiti websites, because they have it online, so it's very easy to show people how to do these things. So this is, I think this is New York, Manhattan, and so on. So I use Google Map to go to Indonesia. Maps, google.com. Okay, I will show you. I will show you something more extreme. So I will go to Ternate. This is an island in Indonesia. Okay, okay. So this is the island Ternate. Okay. This is what my friend doing, actually, not me. So the distance from this island, the internet here is very difficult. So the distance from the highest speed internet is in this island in Manado. It's, if we zoom out, this is south of Philippines. Philippines is here. Philippines. This is south of Philippines, Manado. So we need to connect to this island. Okay. Now I will demo. I will make a quick demo for you how to do these things. Very easy. Okay. And this will be very high speed. Let me zoom in so I can grab the coordinate, the GPS coordinate of this island. For example, I want to connect to this site. What's here? This site. This is the GPS coordinate. Okay. So I get the GPS coordinate here. Okay. Now I move it to this website. Okay. This is the GPS coordinate, and I can make point. Oh, sorry. I can make add point-to-point connection to the other island. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. Oops. Okay. Okay. The distance is 300 kilometers actually. I don't know in miles. So it's quite far. Oops. Let me see if I can zoom in. Very slow. This is very sorry, this is very slow.
Oh, no problem.
Okay. Oops, it's gone. Let me do it again. Okay, I go to link. Okay, I will paste the coordinate of the island. Not now. Okay. Okay, I will paste the coordinate of the island here. Okay, this is the island. I will zoom out a little bit. Zoom out again. Add point to point. Add P to P. Point to point connection from this island to another island. Okay. Okay. This is red. I have to make it green. Okay. Now I will connect to another island. This one. Okay.
What does that connection do?
This is basically the backbone of the network for long distance connection. Otherwise, we cannot have internet on that island. Okay, so we have a green connection. I can change the equipment. For example, I use 11 gigahertz air fiber. This is much This is cost about what, $700 or 1,000 US dollars. Okay, and I can see the speed is 500 megabit per second from this island to that island, and the distance is 117 kilometers. Very long distance. Okay, now, oops, sorry. So we,
So one thing 117 kilometers away is powering the internet for the other island.
yes, this is not. This is only the relay station. I need to reach this city over here because the actual internet is actually in the city. So I have to add another point-to-point connection here to this one. Okay. Oh, this is still in the sea. Okay, I have to put it on the mountain. I hope it works. Still loading. So basically that's how we do it. So now it's green connection. I can change into different equipment for higher speed. Okay, so the speed is now 500 megabit per second. So now I have full half a gig, 500 megabit per second from this site to this site. This is around 300 kilometers long, so it's very long distance, and that's how we do it now in Indonesia. So we use this kind of equipment. So I educate people how to build these things, and they can make up their own
So
infra.
they need to build their own,
Yeah.
and then they can do what you just did.
Yes. Yeah. So I teach them how to do these things.
Do they need to depend on people in places that have green internet already to point all the way into the islands that don't?
Yes. Well, basically, we normally put the relay station in a house for security.
Okay.
Because
Right.
if it is in the middle of jungle, we are afraid somebody will steal the equipment. So
Right.
it's more like stealing. People steal because this is like for Indonesian, like $700 US is an expensive equipment. So
Yes.
we need to protect this equipment. So we put it in the house. So we protect the equipment. Otherwise, somebody will steal the equipment.
How do you know? How do you know where to go? And who? How do you determine who gets the equipment and when?
Oh, through our discussion. So if we look at my channel like this, okay, let me show you in the playlist. Okay, I will go to my playlist. For example, this one. Okay, very slow. Okay, like this one. This is oops. Again, very slow. Because I use Wi-Fi in my house.
Seek wisdom at a world top 100 university in Perth, West
Okay. For example, this one. This is
Australia.
oops.
Seek practical.
This one is wireless, 1 gigabit per second between Lanijaya and Jayapura, Papua, in Papua, and that's the distance is around 200 kilometers. This one. So people ask, oh no, can you show us how to build the network from my village to the cities? The city they are mentioned is about 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers distance. So I show them through video how to design the connection and so on. So that's how it goes. The one I showed you, this one, this connection here, it's already implemented and it's working now. This is already done, so people already run the system.
how did you end up getting such a vast social media following and having this entire system that works like this? Because it had to kind of build. How did it build?
Build the community basically, right? Very simple. They will follow someone who like to share, who will answer their questions, because I share a lot for free, and if they ask, I answer their questions. Then they told their friends, if you follow this guy will answer your questions. Oh, that's that way people will come to me and answer. Unfortunately, 99% are male because it's very technical. So mostly male. Sorry.
Yeah.
So as simple.
It's not that men understand technical stuff better. It's that women are busy.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's the problem. Yeah, that's the.
Women have 6 kids while the husband gives the internet to the entire country, so they're taking care of other things.
Yeah, right. I guess that's the problem. Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the award.
Okay. Oh, I have the award over there.
Congratulations! Like.
I was surprised actually. I'm not expecting those things at first. Professor Kil Namchon actually forcing me. Oh no, you have to. I not really anxious, but because he's forcing me. Okay, I will write some proposal. I asked my friend to submit and so on. But I'm not really. But yes, thank you very much, ISOC, for the awards. It's not about me, to be honest. It's not about me. It's basically acknowledgement for our effort to build the community network. So to be honest, how I should put it, we don't realize that this is the right way to do it. Okay, when we do these things, we thought, oh, okay, we do it for our struggle. We do it for having internet in rurals. We do it for the schools, for our survival basically. But having the award is actually for us. The internet community, the internet society basically told us, hey, you actually doing the right things. So that's actually very important for us. That acknowledgement is very important for us. Basically, you guys told us we are doing the right thing, because for many years people always told us you are doing the wrong things. You have to subscribe to the operator. You have to wait for the operator to build this thing. But the operator, because village is not commercially attractive, the operator is not making a lot of money in village, so they are reluctant to go to village. So we basically have to build this thing ourselves. But we always think this is not a right thing. But having the award, that's a big acknowledgement for us. So this is actually told us, okay, we are doing the right thing. So thank you very much, ISOC, for that. To be honest,
well, thank you for doing. I can't, as an American writer, every time I do these, it's astounding to me how privileged we are here in the United States. We have nobody has any idea like how hard it is elsewhere. We just assume that everybody has what we have, and we don't question how we got this.
Yeah. Your assumption is same as the bureaucrats in the Indonesian in Jakarta. They sometimes, the minister and those guys always think, okay, all Indonesia have the internet. Well, okay, it's not that. That's not the case. So sometimes they
Right.
when they make a program like a project for schools, they assume okay every school has internet. Actually, not that's not the case.
Well, that's what we found here in the States, even where people just assumed that the entire United States had internet because most of us do. Schools had to go online, and all of a sudden it was like, no,
Oh, okay.
there's some people who don't have access.
Oh, okay. I thought it's solved for you guys. Oh, okay. We always think you guys are solved.
Oh, maybe I'll throw them over to you in your videos. Have them make community networks. Right now, we're doing hotspots with phones and patches, and not here though.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm in Florida, and in a city, there's a city here, but then all around me, there's no city. So the people on the farms are in trouble.
Yeah. I live in Jakarta, but I have my another what house in the village, so I know how it feels.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would prefer to stay there in village rather than in Jakarta.
All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before I let you go? I've kept you for 45 minutes now, and I know you typically go to bed around this time.
Oh, no, what? So thank you. That was fun. I think it's covered
Yeah.
most of it. Yeah, yeah.
What would you say the best thing you've ever done is?
The best thing. Oh, I. What I'm proud of is actually this one. The when okay. Maybe I have to tell you a little bit about my history. I was a teacher at this campus, ITB. ITB Institute Technology in Bandung. ITB is sort of the MIT of Indonesia. So I teach there. But in 2000, I resigned. So they have a seminar on copyright. I was one of the speaker, and I said, well, if we want to educate the Indonesian people, I think we have to spread our knowledge, not copywriting all the knowledge and economically exploit the knowledge we have. So after that seminar, this is in February 2000. After this seminar, 3 days after that, I submit a letter to the rector, to the president of university. I resign. I want to educate the Indonesian people. So my KPI is basically how many people I educate. So this is what I'm proud of. The number of subscriber in my YouTube, in my Twitter, in my e-learning. Mostly around hundred of thousands of people, and we are very active, interacting with each other, and that's how we build the network. So I am more on how to deliver the technology to the people, and during the process we actually fine tuning the technology to fit into people's needs and people's pocket budget. So that's how we do it, through discussion, through community, and we build this thing together. So that's what I'm very proud of. Okay.
That is great.
Yeah. It's not technology per se. It's mixed between technology, social, people, those kind of thing, and that's create the actual network, people-based network, internet for all people. So yeah. And most of these things actually donated by someone. Like this server for e-learning, donated by some people. Would you like this server? So people actually give me something. So okay, we use it for educate. So so yeah, using this one, actually, we already educate how many teachers? Around 10,000 teachers on how to use e-learning. So for free. So
That's amazing. So does that make people who are selling this mad?
well, uh, basically like this.
Like,
We when I educate people, when we spread the knowledge, basically we creating a market. So basically, when for the real example is the your question about internet cafe. In the early 2000, before 2000, people building internet cafe because the internet is very new. Not many people have access to the internet, so I educate people how to build internet cafe. So people building internet cafe at that time, the return of investment is only couple of months, mostly 6 months. They get their money back. Okay, but during the process, they have to educate the users how to use the internet. So the internet cafe, they deploy, they get the money back, they educate the users how to use the internet. So having this market grow, the cellular, the telecom, then grab the market. So they are not mad actually, because we create the market for them. We mad to them because then we lost our market. but
right.
but that's okay. We keep building a different market, so that's fine. Of course, we now move into rurals and villages and so on because there are a lot more those people in that area that needs our help. So
What about the people at the university that were copywriting all the information?
fortunately, you guys in the internet, you guys actually put a lot of information using like Creative Commons license, GNU license. So a lot of free information on the internet. We actually grab those information for us. Our problem is not the knowledge, not the information. Our major problem is language actually, because you guys writing in English, and
Yeah.
lot of us having difficulty to read English. That's our major problem. So it's not the knowledge actually. The English is our major problem. So most of the time, but Google is very helpful. When is it? Like when the first Google vice president went to Indonesia, I think around 15 years ago or something. So Google vice president coming to Indonesia at that time, and he meet many of us. Many of my friends actually when talk to this Google vice president, they talk, okay, I built this software, would you like to buy it? When he asked me, oh no, what would you like? Can you make Google Translate for Indonesians? Because we desperately need a translation. And then he said, oh, that's very easy. Huh? Okay, very easy. And then he asked me, and then this vice president asked me, do you know how many people in Google writing the Google Translate for Indonesia? I guess a big team. No, only 2 people. Huh? 2 people. Can they speak Indonesian? No, they cannot speak Indonesian. How can you translate the language without knowing the language? Well, that's very easy. That's only statistics. And then within 3 weeks after that, the Google Translate have the Indonesians in Google Translate. Only 3 weeks, and it works.
Wow.
So the
Maybe it
Google.
does work, because I had to find information out about you, and I was like, oh my god, it's in Indonesian.
And then
And then I clicked on the translate button, and it was okay. It was pretty good.
yeah, yeah. So Indonesian Google Translate is my. I ask Google, can you make it for us, and they make it for us. Because that's our major problem actually. Language is our major problem. So Google Translate really help us actually. I think Google help a lot of people around the world because otherwise we are having problem accessing the knowledge.
Yeah.
Having this one is very, very helpful.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to talk about before
I think we cover most of it. Thank you very much, Darlene. It's nice talking to you. But if you need anything, just email me. I will try to. To be honest, when I write the answer, I use Grammarly. Grammarly to check my grammar. Otherwise, my grammar is very bad. Even my son, the youngest one, he's in primary school. He always talk to us, to me and my wife. Don't speak English. Your English is very bad. So my son is saying like that.
I think it's great. It's really hard. English and Indonesian are not similar languages.
Yeah, my son is his English much better than me. If you hear him speaking English, is very American English. Thank you very much, Darlene.
Thank you. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So I will leave this room.
Bye.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Bye bye.